The century or so of genius. From a modern point of view, implicit understanding of the 16th century mindset is almost literally impossible. According to the learned men of the time, the earth was at the center of the universe, alchemy was a legitimate pursuit, the health of an individual is determined by the proper balance of the four humors, and the entire universe is composed of four elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. It was obvious that the earth sat inert. A falling object, it was reasoned, would descend diagonally due to the earth's rotation, or worse, the entire planet would be torn apart. Surely, Christian philosophers reasoned, God would not allow the earth to be hurtled endlessly through space. What people believed at the time made a certain amount of sense, being ignorant of the discoveries to come. Aristotle could not see the planets and the stars as they were, distinctly different in distance and composition. They all appeared distant, uniform, and ethereal. Heavy metals sink to the lowest point, he reasoned, so the earth must be at the center of an incorporeal universe. This translated well into Christian worldview. Beyond the perfect and distant stars existed the heavenly abode of God, in comparison to the heavy, corrupted earth sitting in the middle of the universe, with hell at its center. Here's where we see the limits of classic humanism. Strict adherence to the supremacy of the classics, in combination with the endorsement of the ancient worldview from the Church, made Aristotle and Ptolemy's teaching on the universe absolute. Humanism, an intellectual movement based on questioning the contemporary view of knowledge and humanity's place in the world, found itself incapable of asking the right questions. But as the 16th and 17th centuries ground on, with their seemingly endless parade of religious and political strife, a string of brilliant minds from Copernicus to Galileo to Newton caused titanic shifts in academic thought. Mathematics and observable experimentation became irrefutable forces that blasted apart nearly 2,000 years of axioms. Within 150 years, from the 1540s to the 1680s, these philosophers and scientists had completely and definitively overhauled our view of the universe, and created a mathematical paradigm that would stand largely unchanged until Einstein's theory of relativity and the development of quantum mechanics. From a historical perspective, it's actually very easy to gloss over the developments within a movement. Galileo, yada yada yada, Newton. Modern science. What we need to remember, and know that the same process still occurs today, is that new developments within a discipline are usually offshoots of the old. Copernicus's heliocentric model was not an attempt to supplant Ptolemy's worldview. He was looking for a way to simplify the tangle of math that had been erected to reconcile the irregularities seen in the night sky. Tycho Brahe, who compiled the most comprehensive catalogue of objects to that date, was a geocentrist, and built a castle on an island to more freely pursue his interest in alchemy. The real breakthrough came with Galileo, a brilliant, willful scientist who believed in the irrefutable conclusions of experimentation and possessed courage to stand up to authorities who attempted to squelch his work, or at the very least, attempted to disbelieve it just because it didn't fit their worldview. He contended that if what is accepted as fact could easily be refuted by what could be observed in experiment, the old belief must be thrown out. The divorce from the classical worldview would be furthered by René Descartes and Francis Bacon, the former denying existence of all but himself, and the latter a vociferous advocate of empirical experimentation. Each championed a different path to the truth. Descartes believed strongly in deductive reasoning, and that philosophical contemplation could lead to the truth. Bacon championed inductive reasoning, and preached that scientific truth could only be obtained via experiment. Despite their limitations, each contributed greatly to modern science. Descartes developed analytical geometry, and reworked Galileo's math surrounding inertia. Bacon helped spread the process of what would eventually become the scientific method. At the end of the line stood Newton, who assembled the work of his predecessors and added his own special brand of genius. In 1665, while staying with his mother during the final outbreak of the plague in England, he invented differential and integral calculus, established optics as a branch of physics, and formulated what would become the laws of gravitation. Not bad for an unemployed 23-year-old living with his mother. He then harmonized Galileo's work on motion and inertia, Kepler's laws of planetary motion, and his own mathematics to form a definitive view of the universe based not on assumption or ancient belief, but pure empirical mathematics. And this would be the lasting legacy of the scientific revolution, the demystification of the universe. We no longer existed in a reality determined by a fickle, unknowable God or mystical forces like destiny and fate. As it turned out, the universe is, and always had been, a well-ordered place that could be described through mathematics. This would not only revolutionize science, but philosophy and political theory as well, leading most directly to the work of John Locke and his contemporaries, who reasoned that the universe could be so perfectly ordered, the realm of man could be tamed using logic and reason to model after that order. The first contributors like Copernicus and Galileo were persecuted and ridiculed. By the time of Newton, the scientists had become the preeminent profession in society. Both France and England established well-funded national academies that formalized and integrated scientific communities, and would begin producing the forerunners of academic journals. The unleashing of intellectual forces paired with social acceptance would soon pay dividends, with the sprouting of the Enlightenment and the first real challenge to the old social order and the nobility, leading to the French and American revolutions.